across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Did you miss me? What do you mean, no? Anyway, I'm back. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way to 10 o'clock. Stand by for 3 thrilling hours of news, views, debate, fun and fury. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can send me a WhatsApp voice note on the same number. And I promise to play your message out. It is Monday, November the 3rd. Here's what's coming up. We only get glimpses of what goes on behind the very closed doors of the hundreds of hotels that have been given over to housing migrants the length and breadth of the country. As soon as the government commandeers a hotel, the windows get blackened, huge fences are erected all around it, security gates are installed and guards are put on patrol. Quite why this wall of secrecy is deemed necessary remains something of a mystery. But make no mistake, when the authorities sense there's a whistleblower on the loose, they swing into serious, sinister action. I'm about to play you an interview with a former asylum seeker hotel employee who was so dismayed by what he witnessed he decided to go public with a special YouTube report. Our international editor Isabel Oakeshott sat down with Adam and he told his extraordinary story of how 10 armed coppers swooped on the house he shared with his disabled mother and took him away for intensive interrogation, all because he penetrated the weird secrecy surrounding the asylum seeker hotels that the British taxpayers who fund them are apparently not allowed to know about. After he was caught on camera sharing a buffet meal with residents, incredibly, he has been charged with theft. The theft of a plate of pasta, valued at 77 pence. What the hell is going on? 0344 499 1000. In other news, after the train stabbing horror, Keir Starmer issued a statement and Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood predictably warned us all not to speculate about who may have committed this appalling crime. Why, 6 days ago, didn't anyone from the government say a word about the shocking murder of Wayne Broadhurst, knifed to death as he walked his little dog on a quiet suburban street in Uxbridge to the west of London? Why? Why didn't they say anything then, but this time they did say something? What are the criteria? What are Labour's criteria for speaking out after crimes of traumatic violence? 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, the Afghani migrant with the silhouette of an AK-47 machine gun face tattoo, sentenced to 5 years for threatening to kill Nigel Farage in a chilling social media post, is back posting his deranged TikTok rants from his prison cell. How is this loudmouth thug named Fayez Khan able to do this? After the shambolic mistaken release of migrant sex offender Hadish Kabatu, isn't it about time that Justice Secretary David Lammy got a grip? 0344 499 1000. Our prison system is an absolute shambles, isn't it? Plus, the astonishing revelation that the BBC's flagship news show Panorama edited a clip of Donald Trump to make it look as if he was calling for violent protest on the night of the January 6th Capitol Hill insurrection. You know, when he lost the election but didn't like it. Is this another egregious example of the state broadcasters increasingly biased reporting, the kind of hopelessly unbalanced journalism the Beebers inflicted on us throughout the Gaza war? Has that now switched to coverage of Donald Trump? 0344 499 1000. Also, I will talk to the BBC's defund the BBC boss Rebecca Ryan about this drama. Let me know your thoughts. 03444991000. And finally, Royal Guru Kinsey Schofield on Harry, Meghan and the Andrew, formerly known as Prince, and the day the late great Queen lost her temper upon discovering that Prince Harry had named his new baby daughter Lilibet, her childhood nickname. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Monday night together. And let's go straight over to our international editor, Isabel Oakeshott, because she has brought us in another one of her amazing exclusives. It really is something. I guess what we'll do, Isabel, I just sort of set it up here. This is a guy called Adam who used to work at an asylum seeker hotel, was pretty dismayed by a lot of the stuff that he witnessed. After he was made redundant, he decided to go back into a hotel and do some filming to reveal some of what goes on behind these very closed doors of our asylum seeker hotels. He put that on YouTube. It got about 250,000 views, and pretty soon afterwards, he could hardly believe it, 10 coppers. 10 coppers, we'll see this in your interview, knocked on his door, charged in. They got his disabled mother downstairs. We had the chief officer going, "Get that stair lift working!" She's disabled. She has to use the stair lift. I mean, see, ridiculous scenes. And all he'd done was film something in an asylum seeker hotel, put it on YouTube. So why, as the government, why are the authorities so sensitive about this? So I guess what we'll do is we'll show your interview and then come back to you. Anything you'd like to say before we go to it?
Yeah. Just very quickly, why is there such fuss? Because put simply, the government doesn't want us to see what goes on behind closed doors. And just to be clear, Adam hasn't actually been charged with anything at this point. He was arrested.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Those 10 riot police, they weren't armed with anything except, well, I imagine they had some batons, I don't know, but they weren't carrying guns or anything. But this was a very, very aggressive response by riot police. And as yet, he has not been charged, but that still hangs over him.
Indeed. So he's been arrested on suspicion of stealing a meal, chicken pasta it was, that he estimates was valued at 77 pence. So make of that what you will, folks. But anyway, let's go straight over. Let's watch Isabel's exclusive interview with Adam.
So my name's Adam. I'm 32 years old. I'm from Manchester, lived there all my life. And I've worked in a migrant hotel from 2021 until 2024.
So why did you want to talk about your experiences?
So I think a lot of people don't know what happens, the amount of public money that is being spent. And obviously at a time where taxes are going up and, people are struggling to live, the money being spent, it needs to be known.
And it's not normal for anyone from the street or whatever to be able to see inside these asylum hotels, is it? People have protested outside, but it's what goes on behind closed doors that voters don't get to see.
Yeah, exactly. All these migrant hotels, they have a high security presence more than you'll get at any other place, to be honest. When I was at the hotel, I documented the time, so I thought, oh, no, this is wrong. So when I actually got made redundant because the hotel closed down, but then I thought, you know what, let's just put it to bed. I'll leave it, there's no point kicking up a fuss, etc. Then about a year later, the stuff in there about migrant hotels came about in the news. So then I thought, I'm sitting on all this information. There's a lot of speculation. So I've got all the information here. So I just decided to bring it out into the public. I thought the idea of to actually go into one of these migrant hotels myself and do some undercover filming, some undercover journalist work.
Risky.
Yeah.
So talk to us, how did you do that and how long did you do it for?
So I walked into 3 hotels. It was as simple as walking through the front door. So as you can see, I'm a little brown. I'm a mixed heritage.
Okay.
So when I walk to the front doors and security look up, they see a young brown lad. So they think, oh, he must be one of the asylum seekers. So it's a case of, for all three, just walking through the front door. When I worked in a migrant hotel, I had some very shaky footage. Obviously, if I got caught filming when I was working, I would have been sacked, dismissed. We've all got bills to pay. So this time I thought I can do I can get some good filming, HD filming, and do a full tour there. Also, it would, for myself, it would put to bed some of the rumours. There's a lot of rumours online about these migrant hotels, which are wrong. People are saying they're jihadi training camps. You know, there's a weapons cache. They're ready to take over from the British Army when the British public, say no. So there's a lot of these rumours that are ridiculous, but there is a lot to talk about the public money being spent. So I did some undercover filming. I partnered up with a YouTube guy, so I got some good views, about 250,000 views. About 3 weeks after they got put online, I was doing some banging at my door at 8 in the morning. I opened the blinds and I see 10 police officers on my drive.
10
police officers.
Are you sure? 10?
The CCTV doesn't lie. 10 police officers in full riot gear, ski masks on, face shields, and instinctively, I've never been in trouble with the law, so I was like, oh my God, what's happened? So I ran downstairs, opened the door. I was like, is everything okay? They barged through. They says, are you Adam? And I said, yes. And they said, you're under arrest for burglary. I said, burglary? I said, I never burgled anything in my life. Anyway, 4 of the officers went upstairs. They went into my mother's room. So my mother's disabled. She's housebound and got stage 3 Parkinson's. So she really struggles to get about. They tried to drag her downstairs by her arms, even though there's a stair lift there. So I said to the sergeant, I was like, Sergeant, there's a stair lift there. I was like, just calm down, diffuse the situation. And he turned around and shouted, he's like, get this stair lift working now. Wow. So they put her on the stair lift, and by the time the stair lift came down, my mother was too scared to get up. She was shaking, so 2 of them had to pick her up by the arms, escort her into the lounge. So we all got put in the lounge. I tried to film inside, but all my devices were seized. Even my girlfriend was there. They took her phone as well. They did a full search of the property. This was including the loft, the garage, the back garden. They searched absolutely everything.
And all this was for doing a bit of undercover filming in a migrant hotel?
Well, I still had no idea what this burglary charge was. It wasn't until I got to the custody desk, and just a caveat to that, they actually took me to a police station. There was 8 police stations closer to my house than this, so they actually took me to one 16 miles away. I don't know if that was just, give me an extra bumpy ride or something like that.
Nice.
But I still had no idea what it was about until I got to the custody desk, and the arresting officer says this gentleman, he's entered a hotel, which is a migrant hotel, and he consumed food and didn't pay for. And then once I was interviewed, I got actually interviewed by CID, by detective constables, and they showed me CCTV of a gentleman who looked like me. And the accusation was taking some chicken pasta and not paying for it.
Right, I see. And how much should you have paid for it? Was there a possibility to pay for it?
So there was no possibility to pay, no tills, nobody asking for money. I've ran the numbers through AI of how much it would cost with serving it for 300 people, and they said it would be about 77p.
Right.
It's for a show of force. Like, for someone, so I've never been in trouble with the law, I don't even have a speeding fine there. And for a case of a burglary, especially when they've said the allegation is food, so there will be no burgled items on property, to send 10 officers with ski masks and riot shields to do an early morning raid, execute a search warrant, take my phone, my work laptop, my home computer, my iPad, to take all the electronic devices, which he said I won't get back for over 1 year. This is a show of force. So you don't show what happens in these asylum hotels. If you do, the full force of the law will come down on you, and will try and scare you into basically shutting you up.
Talk to me about the meal service that they get.
So they will get three meals a day, breakfast, lunch and dinner. There would always be hot options even for breakfast, but we would have like a fruit stand, so there would be 3 types of fruit. There would be crisps, chocolate, cakes, etc. This would be there to help themselves if they wanted seconds, etc. But you'd have chicken, rice, lasagna, pasta. It'd be a different meal every day.
The reason I raise this is because they weren't always, in your experience, that grateful for the food, were they? And this is topical because there's actually been a case going through the courts this week about some migrants that were actually so angry with the quality of their food that they became quite violent about it. Fortunately, hopefully you didn't witness that, but you said that there were a number of protests during your time there about the quality of the food.
Yeah, so we actually had what they said, there was hunger strikes. So we had that twice. So when it was to come down for dinner time at 7 o'clock, we opened like the restaurant barrier, and usually there's a queue there, they're waiting, and we're like, oh, there's nobody here. Stick our head out into reception, and we see 30, 40 of the guys all sat on the floor with their arms and legs crossed. I was like, what's going on here? Then any other asylum seekers coming to go to the restaurant, they were stopping them. So as a hotel, you're not supposed to deal directly with the asylum seekers. So Serco came along and they said they're not happy with the food. They're going on strike until the food improves. So we said, well, what do they want? Is it quality? Is it quantity? Do they want more meat, veg, side options? And both times they never got a straight answer. Apart from the food is bland or it's not flavoursome.
Was there a lot of food waste? What happened to leftovers?
So for my most recent filming, when I went undercover, you can actually see it from one of they had a massive food bucket of food waste, and there was people in front of me who were just clearing the plates. A lot of food waste there. When I used to work in the hotel in the games room, I had 2 gentlemen from Eritrea actually have a food fight. So they got bananas and oranges that they took from the buffet, and they decided to throw that in the games room at each other, and then think it was hilarious, laugh at it, and then walk out.
And yet, I guess there are people in the UK who say they need to use food banks.
Yeah, of course. So there was a couple of women who I used to work with. They were both single mums. One lady was a teaching assistant Monday to Friday, and then she used to do every Saturday and every other Sunday because she had the bills to pay. I had another lady, she a single mum of 2. She used to work 40 hours a week, and then in the last week she would either go to me or the other manager, and she was like, I'm going to borrow £40 till payday. She's like, I just need to get food, or I just need to get electric, etc. And then what she'd do, she'd come in with a Tupperware box, and then after the assignments, you could have the food, which usually wasn't good enough for them. So there would be a lot left over because they were looking and go, well, I'm not eating that today. So when the buffet closed, he would get a Tupperware box with permission from us, and he would actually, fill it up with, chicken legs and rice.
Yeah,
and
rather than
stuff.
it going in the bin.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, this is like, I can give this for my kids tomorrow. And that's when I really thought, I was like, I've got this hard-working mother here, a single mum of 2 doing 40 hours, and she's trying to get the scraps of a buffet to feed the children. With the buffet is not good enough for these asylum seekers.
A Greater Manchester police spokesperson said, on Friday the 22nd of August 2025, we arrested a 32-year-old man on suspicion of burglary following a reported incident on Friday the 1st of August 2025 in Trafford. He has been bailed pending further investigations.
OK, we're going to go straight to break now. When we come back, I'll discuss that extraordinary interview with the brilliant journalist who conducted it, Isabel Oakeshott. So that next, stay tuned.
Within 8 minutes of the 999 call being made, 2 men were brought into police custody, where they remain this morning. I can tell you that these are the first male, a 32-year-old male, a black British national, and a 35-year-old man, a British national of Caribbean descent. They were both arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. Both were born in the United Kingdom.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Isabel Oakeshott is with me. Isabel, fantastic interview, really interesting. You know, as I said in my monologue, we don't often get even a glimpse of what goes on behind these asylum seeker hotels, very closed doors. It is weird as soon as they become. So one day there'll be the local communities, you know, the hub, nice little hotel with a bar and a restaurant, people having their weddings there. Then the government commandeer them, often through this company Serco or the other companies that deal contractually with the housing of migrants, asylum seekers, and literally overnight the shutters come down, the windows get blanked out, huge fences go around the hotel, they install a security gate, security guards turn up, so they turn into a completely different kind of entity, which is strange. This is interesting because the government is very keen to continue classifying them as hotels, but it's kind of difficult because hotels, although they're private property, they should have public access. So what our friend Adam did when he went back into the hotel, okay, as he said, he's got a brown skin, so they just assumed he was an asylum seeker. But you or I should be able to do that. It's a hotel, and yet we're kind of not. It has been pointed out to me that, in fairness to the it's ludicrous that 10 coppers raided his house, but the fact that they were masked is standard procedure because of security reasons, in case you know, coppers are recognised if they are on this kind of beat. Their faces should not be known. So that bit we can excuse them for. But the rest is ridiculous. 10 coppers banging his door down because ostensibly he's charged with stealing a 77p plate of chicken pasta. Not charged, I'm sorry, was arrested on suspicion of stealing some pasta. But of course it's a lot more than that. What he seems to have done inadvertently is to have broken this really, really serious, sinister, secret law, thou shalt not say what goes on behind closed doors in asylum seeker hotels. And if you do speak out, if you whistleblow, the government clearly will come down on you like a ton of bricks. It's very sinister, isn't it?
Well, what Adam has done here is actually incredibly brave. And the truth is that people who work inside these hotels have to sign extremely intimidating confidentiality contracts normally. So they're basically gagged. And after he left, he didn't have to sign one of those for various reasons. And after he left, he thought, well, you know, sod this, I'm going to show what really goes on. And so he set about doing it in a very, very simple way. As he explained in our interview, he was able just to walk in. The rest of us can't really get away with that. I'd love to just walk into a migrant hotel, slightly feel I might not fit in too well. And he was able, as a result of that, to document quite a bit of what goes on. And he'd actually gathered a lot of evidence just, you know, from observing when he was in his own, the one that he worked in himself. And what's happened here is that the powers that be are desperate to try to get him for something because they want to show by his example that no one else should dare do this. And so he's accused of burglary. And what does it boil down to? It boils down to the fact that he sat down and enjoyed a very, very cheap meal with some migrants, which he's worked out was worth 77 pence. What a ludicrous, completely ridiculous and inexcusable waste of the police's time and money. I think a quiet conversation would have been quite enough to put him off. He's a very law-abiding individual, as you can see from that interview. I was struck by how very reasonable he is. This is not some kind of far-right headbanger, as Keir Starmer would probably wish to imagine. This is a very, very measured young man who has plenty of good to say about some of the asylum seekers that he worked with, has plenty of good to say and sympathy to voice about the situation of some of them. But it is also somebody who started out on this process actually a lifelong Labour voter, you know, on the left of politics, and whose experience observing the horrors, frankly, inside this migrant hotel actually changed the whole way he looks at this crisis facing our country.
Yeah, and some of the details of what he talked about are pretty incendiary and annoying. You know, the fact that, you know, as he said, that they get served 3 meals a day, free of charge. We pay for them, of course. We're also paying £143 a night for every single one of them, every single migrant in the country. There's about 103,000, I believe, in asylum seekers hotels all over the country. Every single one of them, 103,000 is costing us £143 a night. They get free food. And apparently, as Adam was explaining, they don't like it often, and they stage hunger strikes, to which I'd say, all right, well, don't eat, see if I care. But there they are, apparently all sitting silently refusing to eat in the foyer of the hotel because they say the food is too bland, they don't like it. I mean, entitled, the word entitled springs to mind. And then he talks of an even sort of sadder story, really, about the fact that, you know, that day in, day out, they don't eat all the food. So all this food is going to waste, just chucked out. And he's talking about one of his female colleagues, a young mum's got 2 kids, 40 hours a week she's doing, working in the asylum seeker hotel on minimum wage, hasn't got 2 halfpennies to rub together, struggling to feed her kids up. So by sort of quiet agreement, she would bring in Tupperware boxes and fill the food that the migrants wouldn't eat or didn't eat into her Tupperware boxes, chicken, rice, pasta, as we just heard, take them home, take it all home for her kids. There's something kind of poignant and sad about that. It's a sort of snapshot of just why this crisis, this asylum seeker crisis, and these hotels are wrong on so many levels.
I think you're absolutely right. You know, this is what upsets ordinary people, voters, so deeply, is that there are people out there, honest, good, decent British taxpayers, who've lived in this country all their life and are now struggling to make ends meet. And they would love to have all the things that are provided for free without any questions asked to these mainly undocumented males that come over, break into our country effectively. There are people working in migrant hotels who are struggling to put food on the table for their children. And yet here we have, you know, these asylum seekers who, some of them are grateful, I'm sure, but all too often are not at all grateful and are literally protesting because they don't think that the food is good enough. Now, I've looked quite carefully at those videos of the food on supply there, and I'm pretty sure I could get by quite happily on that if that was, you know, if I was running away from war and terror and I was being put up in a nice hotel and wasn't having to pay for anything. I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of the British public would also be quite happy with that generous treatment, but apparently it's not good enough for some of these people. Just quickly on the figures that you cited there of the number in migrant hotels, I think we'll have to check that because they are of course changing all the time, and the government is doubtless proud that they've come down quite significantly in recent months. But why? Well, just because they're being dispersed to so-called houses of multiple occupancy.
Yeah, not many of them. I think you'll find it's still 102,000 in hotels at the moment. Well, we'll check that out. But
that is.
I mean, what are they talking about? Oh, we're
2,000
moving them to military bases. 900 of them. Oh, that'll change the dial. We'll check that out. But I think I'm right. Let's go to break, and we'll leave the viewers, the audience, to digest your amazing interview, Adam's story. Let us know what you think. I mean, this is kind of weird, folks. Sinister, I would say. Anybody who wants to tell the story of what's going on in these asylum seeker hotels, it looks as if, you know, the authorities come down on them like a ton of bricks. Thou shalt not tell that story. Why? We're paying for it. Why aren't we allowed into these hotels? They're hotels. Okay, they're private property per se, but they also should have public access. Once they stop anybody from being able to get in, the fact we're a member of the public, you should be able to walk into a hotel. Once they stop us doing that, is it still a hotel? The government wants it to still be a hotel, but is it? That's the question. Let's consider that as we go forward. Let me know what you think. 03444 991 1000. More stories when we come back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor Isabel Oakeshott, who rightly corrected me before we went to break. Of course you were right. It's 32,000 as of June 25. I got my wires crossed. It's a total, I was talking about the total number of asylum seekers in this country. And as of June, that was 111,000. But 32,000 are in hotels. There are estimated to be 210,000 210 hotels used for asylum seekers around the country. So that's 32,000 in these hotels, 111,000 altogether around the country, as you say, in houses of multiple occupation, as they call them. And there are approximately 210 asylum seeker hotels around the country. But a fascinating story, and thank you very much for bringing that in. We'll get some calls coming in. Let me know again what you think about Adam's story. Why don't they want us to know about this? We're paying for it. We're paying for these hotels. We're paying for the 32,000 asylum seekers who live in them, for their free food. You know, their free lawyers, their free accommodation, their free dentists, doctors. We're paying for all of this, and yet the government has brought down this weird veil of secrecy. And if you try to penetrate it, look what happened to Adam. You know, like something out of North Korea or something, 10 coppers. His mum, you know, as you heard in the interviews, disabled lady. You know, you got the chief copper. They're trying to bring her down, you know, carry her down. And he said, well, she's got a stair lift. You got the chief copper go, use the stair lift, use the stair. It's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Let me know what you think. 0344 499 1000. Now, Isabel, let's move on to another couple of topics. The first one I'd like to talk about is the weird business of government statements by the Prime Minister, statements by the Home Secretary, in times of trauma, when we feel there should be a statement from our dear leader, our Prime Minister. So obviously, he issued a statement after the horror on the train, the Huntingdon train horror. You know, it was quite brief, but it was a statement saying, you know, very concerned and people should listen to the police and be safe and all that. Fair enough. Shabana Mahmood under fire from Leila Cunningham in Reform UK, who criticised the the unemotional tone of what the Home Secretary said, which was just like, don't speculate on who did this. Because obviously yesterday, as that story unfolded, there was a lot of speculation. Again, difficult to talk about now. The guy's called Anthony Williams. As far as we can work out, it seems like, shall we say, he's had a history of mental difficulties. But we can't really talk too much about that because he's been charged now with 10 attempted murders and another a crime on the Friday night before his rampage. So we can't really talk about that, but we got these statements then. So my question to you is, what do you think the criteria are for this Labour government to issue a statement to the people? Because I thought this time last week, in fact 6 days ago, last Tuesday, when the horrific story emerged of what happened to that poor guy Wayne Broadhurst as he was taking his little dog for a walk at 5 p.m. last Monday night, literally a week ago. We didn't find out for another 24 hours. That he was obviously attacked allegedly by an asylum seeker. Again, there are charges in the book there, and we have to be very, very careful. But that crime, that particular crime, a frenzied knife attack on 3 people, actually. This poor, innocent guy taking his little dog for a walk in Uxbridge, a suburban street to the west of London. Another guy, also critically injured, and a 14-year-old boy as well. People were very traumatised by that. Not a single word. The whole nation was traumatised. Not a single word from the Prime Minister or the Home Secretary. And yet, so then we have the train stabbing, and they start issuing statements. So I don't quite, you know, and that's quite right, because we were traumatised by the train stabbings as well. But why do you think they didn't say anything last week when that horror unfolded on the streets of Uxbridge?
Well, a skeptic would say because it involved an asylum seeker, or is alleged to have involved an asylum seeker. I think the real question to ask is, are our leaders getting it right? Of course, there are huge questions to be asked about all these incidents and what has led to them. But since we're talking about how our leaders respond to them, I'd say that I'd much prefer the system in America, where when something really awful happens, there's actually a huge amount of information that is shared with the public. And I think people want that. And we've become so incredibly tied up in, oh, could this possibly prejudice some future legal case? I think it's a load of nonsense. I think we need as much. Obviously, there are limits, but we need some basic disclosure in cases that have overwhelming public interest. And I know that the public interest is very different to what the public are interested in. But in all these cases, these are attacks that are happening to the public, to innocent people on our streets. And I think that people deserve to know the broad outlines here and as quickly as possible. And I don't think Home Secretaries or Prime Ministers should pompously declare that we shouldn't speculate. Of course we're going to speculate. Do you think we're just going to, stay in our little boxes and say nothing to see here, let's keep quiet and be good and wait for a year or so until the court case and then we'll find out what's going on? No, I find that attitude very, well, it's for us to know and you little people to find out. I think it's really reprehensible, and that there should be, as a matter of routine, basic information released as soon as possible.
But yeah, because it happened again yesterday, didn't it? I mean, okay, in fairness to the horror in Uxbridge a week ago, that poor guy Wayne Broadhurst, I'm haunted by it. Just a nice local council worker taking his little dog for a walk. Nothing, just completely innocent, is killed in a frenzied stabbing attack. I think that did call for a statement on the part of the Prime Minister or the Home Secretary. Prime Minister, I think. But to be fair, the authorities, given past problems, particularly in Southport, were pretty fast to say that the man arrested, the suspect, who allegedly committed this crime, was an Afghani migrant, an asylum seeker who broke into the country in 2020, 5 years ago, on the back of a lorry, but was subsequently granted asylum. So they provided that information very, very quickly. But I also felt it did warrant a statement from the Prime Minister, and there is this suspicion he didn't really want to get involved because it was an asylum seeker, and that would throw a sharp focus on the migrant crisis that he has so patently lost control of. So yes, I think that was probably at play there, his sensitivities about asylum seekers. But that notwithstanding, you can't fault the information we were given. But they need to get their act together, because with the train stabbings, they did try, but they didn't really go far enough. They started saying, it's a black guy and also a person of Caribbean descent. Both are British nationals. So what everybody started saying. Well, are they Muslims? Is it an Islamic terrorist incident? So that, unless if you just provide some of the information, the public are going to speculate. It's incumbent upon the authorities to try not to leave any of these gaps in information that will be filled with rampant speculation. Lots and lots of absolute nonsense being talked about what happened on that train, we now know. So yes, they ought to get a system in play. Also, I'd like to know, I'd love to know when it is the Prime Minister feels he should comment and when it is he just doesn't bother. I don't know. Sometimes, as I say, that murder last week, the triple stabbing, there's no doubt, it's no exaggeration to say the nation was very traumatised by that, and we heard nothing from our leaders, which I think is wrong. We had brief statements about the train. Bearing in mind, don't forget, I'm not in any way undermining the horror, the seriousness of what happened, but we had a death in Uxbridge. So far, thank God, no deaths in terms of the train. You're right. I mean, perhaps they should get a system in place so that we all know exactly what to expect from the authorities when something like this happens. But they cannot do this anymore, treat us like children and don't tell us anything about it. I had a few coppers on Twitter yesterday going, or not ex-coppers, going, you should just let the police, trust the police and let the police get on with their job. I don't think perhaps after Southport, when they lied to us, we particularly do trust the police in these situations, nor do we trust Keir Starmer either. So there's still a bit of a mess going on when these horrors happen. But let's move on. When we come back, we'll talk about the strange story of this guy, Fayez Khan is his real name. He is a guy who arrived here. He's the guy with the AK-47 Kalashnikov machine gun tattooed on his face rather badly, who threatened to kill Nigel Farage. He's doing 5 years now, but he seems to be TikToking again. He's behind bars. He threatened to kill Nigel Farage coming over on a small boat on an illegal dinghy. Said, pop, 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 I'm going to kill you. He got 5 years for that, idiot. And now he's busy TikToking again from his jail cell. What is that all about? Nigel Farage criticising this situation on his Twitter account. It's had millions of views, 2.3 million views. There are people looking into the veracity of these posts by Mr. AK-47 face tattoo. But at the moment the authorities are looking into it as well. But if he's busy posting away, TikToking from his cell, what is going on in our prisons? Absolutely out of control. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
It's the first time I, can recollect this sort of incident on a train where you can't exactly get off. It's like an aeroplane in that regard, isn't it? You can't exactly get off. But what I would say is quite often when you go to train stations at night or in the evening like this was, you see the gates open, don't you, all the time. And I doubt this individual actually bought a ticket, right? I mean, I'm speculating. But maybe if we had better security at train stations where gates were consistently closed, where there are access gates, maybe that would reassure people.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Well, we kind of all remember the story of this guy calls himself Madha Passa, but his real name is Fayez Khan. He's from Afghanistan. He's a small boat migrant, and coming across on his dinghy across the channel illegally, posts a video. He's got like a AK-47 machine gun silhouette tatted on his face, so he's quite recognisable. He tweeted that he was going to pop, 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 I'm going to kill you, Nigel Farage. He's a master criminal. He arrived, and of course he got arrested for that, and he last month was convicted of threatening to kill Nigel Farage and is now doing 5 years inside. Nigel Farage has posted on Twitter today that this guy, Madha Passa, will use his name that he likes to use, is posting videos on TikTok, is continuing to post his deranged rants on TikTok from prison. Have a look. Quite a lot of swearing on that, as I'm sure you could work out. Now, this video is, of course, being examined now, just to make sure of its veracity, but the prison authorities are looking into it. Mr. Farage's post has been viewed 2.3 million times. Well, Isabel, on the basis, if this is a real video being posted by this guy from behind bars, it's just another sign, as Nigel Farage says. How is he allowed to continue posting these videos from prison? Britain is broken. This is another sign that, if this is true, that our prisons are in an absolute mess. Following the release of that paedophile sex offender, was it last Friday week, Hadush Kabatu, the Ethiopian, the accidental mistaken release from Chelmsford jail, plus this now, a guy who went to jail for TikTok posts, now apparently TikTok posting from behind bars, presumably using phones or tablets. I mean, what is going on?
I mean, Kev, if I were running the country, someone who trolled their victim from behind bars would quite simply have their sentence doubled. That is totally outrageous and totally unacceptable. And when I first saw it, I couldn't believe it. And then I read that it's possible that it's some kind of AI. I mean, that is how astonishing it is that people are thinking this must be some kind of AI. I don't know whether it's been conclusively proven to be genuine, but it's fair to say that the prison service itself has commented on it, so they seem to think it's real. How the hell was he able to do this? You're not allowed phones in prison for obvious reasons. It allows you to carry on your criminal ways. So there are so many questions here about this video and about this individual. And I think, you know, in a sense, heads have to roll for this. You know, how is this guy able to have done this if he did indeed do it? And then, you know, surely there should be a mechanism within our legal system to punish criminals who go on to actually troll their victims from behind bars. It's just unbelievable.
According to the Daily Telegraph, which broke this story, it understands that Khan, or Madha Passa as he likes to call him, was searched on Saturday night and no phone was found. This has led prison chiefs to suspect that he sent the videos to someone outside of prison who then uploaded them onto TikTok. Obviously David Lammy was very much in the frame as the Justice Secretary in charge of prisons when this guy Hadush Kabatu was accidentally let out in a comedy of ridiculous errors, accidentally released from Chelmsford Jail. 5 times he tried to go back. Prison guards, go away, no, go on, go to the station, will you just... And he's going, are you sure? Then when he got to London, by the way, he went to a police station and said, I think they released me by accident, by mistake. And the police station, oh, get out of here. So he then was 3 days wandering around London. The guy seems to sort of sexually abuse virtually every woman he ever sees, so obviously a clear and present danger. He was eventually spotted at a bus stop 3 days later on a Sunday morning by 2 vigilant public-spirited citizens, 2 women actually. They reported to the police and he was arrested, and since then he's been deported back to his home country. But obviously people saying to Lammy, come on, what is going on in our prisons? Now we have another reason to ask that question. Lammy needs to get real about this, doesn't he?
Well, he also needs to listen to the shadow Conservative Minister Tory Robert Jenrick on this, because he has done a lot of very good work about the bad stuff that's going on in our prisons. Of course, we've always known that awful things happen behind behind bars, but there are far too many phones, far too many drugs and many other evils going on there, and this government needs to grip it.
Indeed. Prison service spokesman told The Telegraph, it is outrageous that this criminal has got a mobile phone into prison, and we have taken immediate action to pull these videos down and remove the profile. Prisoners found to have mobile phones or use of social media could face extra time behind bars. So you never know. Maybe he will. But as I say, they think he may have somehow got the recording to someone else who posted it outside of jail. Either way, he shouldn't be doing this. Lammy needs to get on the case, and I think if this is genuine, you're right, he should have an increased sentence. He is not a master criminal, and he needs to learn to mend his ways, I think. Isabel, thank you very much for the excellent interview, the brilliant story, and another fantastic hour. We'll talk again on Wednesday, I do believe. Isabel Oakeshott Talks international editor. Next up, we're going to talk about the BBC. Apparently, they've been doctoring videos of Donald Trump to make it look like he caused the January the 6th insurrection. Extraordinary, extraordinary. That next, stay tuned.
Across the UK on DAB+. on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
When she was still Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, now of course the Home Secretary, said that she was going to change the rules, change the law in terms of defendants being made, forced if you like, to face their sentencing in person. This followed an outcry that Lucy Letby, the angel of death nurse who killed so many babies, she refused to be in the dock at the point of her sentencing, and so did, of course, Axel Rudakabana, the little fiend who committed the Southport dance hall atrocity, who murdered those 3 kids and injured so many more people. He refused, in a cowardly way, to be in the dock at the point of his sentencing. Public saying, look, you know, this is the culmination of our legal process. The defendant should be in the dock. Until now, they've had the right to say, I can't be bothered with that. I'm not going in there. Why should I? When you go, all right then. Well, the public's saying, no, they should be forced, if necessary. You know, this is their moment. This is the moment when the justice system says, this is where you get punished. You broke our laws, this is where you get punished. And you are going to face it. Face the music. Instead, hitherto, we've just let them not bother. Shabana Mahmood said she was going to change that. Well, I'm going to bring you a story in a little while that proves she hasn't really changed it. Shocking story of a guy who murdered his pregnant girlfriend. He's a previous murderer as well. What he was doing on the streets, we don't quite know, but he was. He just wouldn't come into the dock. Now, Shabana Mahmood, when she was Justice Secretary, said, well, if appropriate force should be used to force defendants into the dock at the point of their sentencing. So I think a lot of people would like to see that happen. But it didn't happen in this instance. It's quite a shocking case. We'll talk to Stephen Barrett, our barrister friend, about that. And also Rafe Heidel Manku, historian, cultural commentator, will join us to talk about adverts on the tubes. Ricky Gervais furious with TfL, Transport for London, you know, Sadiq Khan's outfit, because they wouldn't accept any of his posters for his vodka. It's called Dutch Barn Vodka. Before you think he's trying to make a load of money for himself and he's rich enough already, he sells that vodka to raise money for animal welfare. Ricky does a lot for animals, he really, really does. Me and him are patron of a charity called All Dogs Matter, but he's much more of a good guy than I am. So he's angry about the prudishness surrounding adverts on public transport. I mean, basically, about a year ago, they banned a poster for a West End play featuring a wedding cake, because wedding cakes are bad for you. I mean, it's that mad. So that in a little while. Taking your calls as well at towards the end of the hour. 03444991000. Lots to talk about. Before we get to any of this, though, this is a very serious story. This is unbelievable, actually. The BBC stands accused of doctoring Donald Trump videos, a Donald Trump speech. This was prior to the January the 6th sort of insurrection. Do you remember the Capitol Hill incident where all these Trump fans stormed Capitol Hill and loads of people arrested, went to jail, and it was in the fallout after Trump lost the election to Biden and was saying, I didn't lose it, this has been fixed, this has been rigged, and his supporters went crazy. In actual fact, Donald Trump made a speech saying, calm down, don't do this. But the BBC flagship show, Panorama, seems to have featured speeches where clips of Donald Trump were doctored, edited, to make it look as if he was calling for violent protests, for violence on the streets. He did nothing of the sort. This is extremely serious. This is Panorama, the flagship news show on the BBC. BBC's reporting seems to be getting worse and worse and worse when it comes to impartiality and bias. Well, let's welcome to the show from Defund the BBC, Rebecca Ryan. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, Kevin.
Before we talk, let's have a look at what critics say is proof that the BBC did this.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you.
Now, see there, between Capitol and, that's a cut. Here's what Trump actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
It's different. It wasn't until nearly an hour later that he then said the second part of the BBC's version.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we fight. We fight like hell.
We're back, yes. Well, there we have it, Rebecca. I mean, this is very serious. This is Panorama. Making it look, or accused of, making it look as if Donald Trump had called for violent insurrection. You know, we're going to storm Capitol Hill. In fact, he did quite the reverse. I mean, in the end, he really did call for, come on, let's stop the violence, don't do this. And yet, you know what we're talking about, don't we? You know, the BBC doesn't like people like Donald Trump, and it stands accused of deliberately trying to make him look bad by editing footage, editing a speech that he made to indicate that what he said was something very, very different to what he actually said. That's this is Gordon Rayner, the associate editor of the Telegraph, talking about this. So this is extraordinary, isn't it?
It's absolutely awful, but it just confirms what millions of viewers already know about the BBC, unfortunately, is that they've stopped reporting news and started deliberately manipulating it for political ends. To edit and distort a political leader's words for broadcast isn't journalism, it's propaganda. And the British people are being forced to pay for this, and it's political interference as well in another country's elections and their sort of democratic processes as well, because we know how much that was made of his speech and the impact on Capitol Hill. So I think it's just really, really shocking. And the BBC has not only broken its contract with the British people, it's become a global laughingstock. You know, it's an absolute embarrassment to us, and we're being bullied into paying for it.
Michael Prescott, a BBC advisor, wrote the report which compared the shocking breaches of impartiality to the Crown Gate scandal in 2007. He is the man at the centre of this, and he has written in a letter, he's sent this dossier to the BBC board because repeated warnings were dismissed or ignored. He's written in a letter, I departed from my advisory role with profound and unresolved concerns about the BBC. My view is that the executive repeatedly failed to implement measures to resolve highlighted problems and in many cases simply refused to acknowledge there was an issue at all. So this guy quit his advisory role with the BBC because he felt that they were sort of not taking this issue of what Panorama was supposed to have done with this edited clip of Donald Trump seriously enough. And the BBC has said at the end, this is their spokesman saying, while we don't comment on leaked documents, when the BBC receives feedback, it takes it seriously and considers it carefully. Michael Prescott is a former advisor to a board committee where differing views and opinions of our coverage are routinely discussed and debated. So they're just saying, well, you know, this comes out of what's supposed to be a confidential meeting, and therefore we don't discuss this. Michael Prescott, is just one board committee member with one opinion. There are differing views and opinions of our coverage. Well, I don't see what differing view there could be of the rightness or wrongness of editing clips of Donald Trump to make it look as if he was encouraging a violent insurrection on Capitol Hill. He didn't do that, but they made it look as if he did. I don't see how there can be differing opinions on that. That's just wrong. And if the BBC can't see that, it's in more trouble than I thought it was.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that's shocking about this is, as you say, this is a BBC insider. This is a guy that was sort of, thoroughly in bed with the BBC. He's a serious man who has just sort of said this is enough, and therefore the BBC really should be paying attention to this. And there really does need to be an independent investigation into how this came about and how these things keep happening at the BBC. Because at the moment we get sort of this kind of fluff that they come out with, like, oh, well, we're not going to comment on this. This was a kind of a committee that, differing views. It's just all fluff. It's a smokescreen to sort of try and make it go away. But as we've clearly seen there with the editing, they have deliberately placed those two things together so that the narrative is wrong. And that's not okay.
It's not okay. This was a 1-hour panorama special called Trump, A Second Chance. It was broadcast in October last year. I mean, doesn't the BBC, given this is pretty much an open and shut case. It looks very much as if they've just done this and then not said anything. They need to get an apology out really fast, don't they?
Absolutely, they need to apologise, but also Tim Davie needs to be hauled before Select Committee and answer to what's gone on here, because the buck stops with him, and so far, we're not really seeing any accountability whatsoever. It's not okay for licence fee payers' money to be spent on this kind of political propaganda, and so there has to be answers to these questions.
I mean, this is just more... what has happened to journalism at the BBC? I mean, for all its faults, the BBC newsroom used to be this sort of island of decency, and probity, and they were famous for their impartiality, their lack of bias as they reported issues both domestically and around the world. But we've seen the way they've covered the Gaza war, the Gaza conflict, which has been an absolute embarrassment. It's an absolute disgrace. I mean, we know about, of course, the famous documentary narrated by the son, I think he was like about 13, the very young son, 13-year-old son of a Hamas government official, Deputy Agriculture Minister. They didn't mention that, they just put it out there. And then they had to apologise for this. An independent report by barristers found something like 1,500 very questionable reports and inferences made by the BBC in their Gaza coverage. In fact, taking facts and twisting them in Palestine's favour and against the Israelis. I mean, basically, the BBC stands accused. Ask anybody who's Jewish, they just think the BBC is now an anti-Semitic organisation that has used its newsroom, its reporters, to essentially brief against Israel and for the Gazans, for the Palestinians. What is going wrong there?
I think my view is that they were pretty emboldened by the Brexit coverage, because we all saw how they reported on that and sort of tried to paint anybody who voted for Brexit as these old racists. And that kind of reporting that they did, and that desperately trying to campaign for a second referendum, as it seemed that they were doing, that through those years, that they just sort of became comfortable with sort of essentially campaigning rather than reporting, and the more they've got away with it, the more they've just felt emboldened, and they just can't be allowed to get away with it. And the government has got to get a grip on this. We've got to hear from Lisa Nandy as well for her take on this, because she's looking at the TV licence at the moment, and thankfully she's ruled out it going into general taxation, but she is talking about other ways for it to be paid for. But she should be looking really seriously at this and thinking, is it okay for the British public to be forced to pay for essentially political propaganda that they don't want anything to do with? These are falsehoods.
Yeah.
It's not.
And they're now talking about putting the licence up to more than over £180 at the very least. So, as you say, the TV licence row continues to pace. As you say, why should we pay for a TV licence if the journalism they're going to pump into our living rooms is just a mass of falsities? And they better look out, I bet, because old Donald Trump, he won't just accept an apology when CBS, so this is interesting, CBS during his campaign to win the presidency against Kamala Harris, they agreed, Paramount Global, they own CBS, they agreed to pay $16 million, that's 13.5 million quid, to settle a dispute with the president, Trump that is, because Trump filed a lawsuit last October alleging that the network had deceptively edited an interview with Kamala Harris that aired on its 60 Minutes programme, which is interesting. 60 Minutes, an American legend of a programme, very akin to Panorama. A very respected programme known for its journalism of integrity. Anyway, he said, no. They've dropped the ball here. They've edited this interview with Kamala Harris, as he said, to tip the scales in favour of the Democratic Party. Paramount said it would pay to settle the dispute. So, if I know Mr. Trump, he'll come for the BBC. They won't get away with this with a lot of salon debating and the Tim Davie in front of Parliament saying, oh, well, you know, lessons have been learned, you know, as he says every single time. I mean, that guy's got a season ticket to committees in Parliament, hasn't he? I mean, he's forever appearing in front of the Culture Committee to sort of say, oh, sorry about that, sorry about that, sorry about that. Well, he's got another one on his hands, and this time it might cost the state broadcaster quite a lot of money.
Yeah, and unfortunately that means licence fee paid money, so hopefully he won't go down that route, but rather just hang them out to dry in sort of global embarrassment, and put pressure on our government to do something. I don't know about the licence fee. Who knows what he'll do? But yeah, it's got to come to an end at some point that British people are being forced to pay for this. You know, if it was the case that we were, you know, it was voluntary, or that, you know, it was funded through advertising or through subscription, then, you know, people could vote with their feet. But as it is, it's anybody who has a TV license, who watches therefore live broadcast TV, that's paying for this political campaigning, and it's not acceptable, and it's a complete breach of their contract with the British people, because under the terms of their with the Royal Charter, which allows them to tax us for the licence fee, they have to be impartial, and they have to deliver journalistic excellence. Well, editing out someone's speech to completely change the meaning is not journalistic excellence. It's propaganda.
I mean, you know, I don't envy Tim Davie this job of running this kind of out-of-control juggernaut in these difficult media times. I mean, the whole media landscape is changing. BBC looking a bit more anachronistic by the day. But that said, this guy Davie, as the Director General, I mean, day in, barely a day goes by without some new scandal. I mean, do you think this one might be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and he finally has to fall on his sword, he finally has to go? Because it is getting absurd, isn't it?
I mean, I think so. I think the Gaza coverage was serious enough to require him to do that. But I think that this is enough of an embarrassment on a global scale for the BBC that surely heads have got to roll, because this is just not acceptable to be corrupting someone's speech in that way, such a prominent figure, and our biggest ally as well. So yeah, it's time for Tim Davie to go.
It's a very, very serious situation, and like all very serious situations at the BBC, it's so serious, Rebecca, that I reckon deputy heads will roll every single time. But I agree with you. I think, come on, Tim Davies, somebody else should have a crack at this. He can't take the blame for all of this, but in the end, the buck's got to stop somewhere. And we can't let this guy carry on presiding over this ongoing shambles. Rebecca, excellent to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. That's Rebecca Ryan. She's the CEO of Defund the BBC. That is serious, folks. Doctoring, editing a speech by Donald Trump to make it look as if he called for violent insurrection. He actually tried to talk those idiots down who stormed Capitol Hill, all those guys with the buffalo hats, remember that? He tried to talk them down, but the Panorama programme stands accused of trying to make it look as if he didn't, as if he did the opposite. When Donald finds out about this, if he hasn't found out now, trust me, he'll come running. He'll go on the warpath on this. You know what he's like. He doesn't let this kind of thing go. And he'd be quite right to, wouldn't he? Let me know what you think. 0344 499 1000. When we come back, should defendants, those accused, those found guilty of very serious crimes, be forced to face their sentencing? The moment when the judge says you're doing 20 years or whatever. Also the victim's statements. The relatives of the victims tend to make statements. The defendants should be made to listen to those as well. Shabana Mahmood, when she was Justice Secretary, said, yeah, I'm going to sort this out. Well, doesn't look as if she has. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
We have got forensics still conducting their supporting the investigation by examining the train. The train station itself is still shut. There are trains passing through, but they aren't stopping at the station itself. But I actually got here last night around just after 9 o'clock, which the incident had been dealt with at that point in time. There was a phenomenal police presence here. There must have been 20 to 30 police cars, around 10 ambulances still at that point dealing with casualties, and also four fire engines. But there was a very, very robust police response.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. He'll be with me tomorrow night from 7 until 8 for his regular hour-long slot. But we thought we'd get him in right now for a story that concerns the legal arena. So a warm welcome to barrister Stephen Barrett. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you. Now, this is the story of Shane March, arguably a man who should never have been on the streets. In the year 2000, he got life for stabbing a poor little 17-year-old kid in the neck and killing him. He got life. 13 years later, they let him out. Life, 13 years. Am I missing something here? They let him out. Last year, he murdered his pregnant girlfriend, a lady called Alana Odysseus. She's from Suffolk, 32 years old, pregnant with his child. He stabbed her 19 times in a frenzied attack. At first he claimed that this assault was manslaughter due to diminished responsibility, but halfway through the trial it was pointed out to him that this claim was ridiculous, so he conceded that it was murder. At the Old Bailey he was sentenced to life, and his second life sentence of his life. In itself, that's absurd, isn't it? With a minimum of 42 years. But here's the point. He refused to be there for his sentencing. Generously, in the end, he agreed to tune in by video link. But he refused to actually be there. Now, last year when Lucy Letby, the nurse killer, the angel of death, was sentenced for killing those babies, she got a whole life term, of course, never to be released. She refused to be in the dock at that point. So did that little fiend, the Southport dance hall killer, Axel Rudakapana. He refused to be in the dock. Now, a lot of people go, oh, come on, he's got life, he'll never get out. What the hell, does it matter? Well, it does matter. I think the public want this nation, our legal system, to frankly, excuse my French, show some balls and say to these defendants, oh, you don't want to be there for sentencing. We'll see about that. You're going to be there because you have been found guilty of a serious crime and you're going to face the music. Now, Shabana Mahmood, when she was Home Justice Secretary, earlier this year, she said, well, I'm going to do something about this. I am going to now say that defendants should be put in the dock to face sentencing and be brought there with reasonable force if necessary. Well, this guy, Shane March, just like the old days, just refused, and his refusal was accepted. OK, he said that he'd tune in by video, but, does that necessarily count? Do we know he did it? The point is, I think the state, I think the public demand that these people should face their sentencing. The state should have the backbone to make them face their sentencing. And most importantly, the relatives of the victims who carefully prepare their emotional statements and read them out in court should have the satisfaction of knowing that the person who killed their loved one is listening to what they have to say. Instead, if they're not there, that whole process, the victim's statements, kind of loses all its point. When are we going to make them appear in the dock for their sentencing, Stephen?
When we grow up. So we have become performatively weak as a nation, and I despaired. I'm glad you flagged that it was Lucy Letby. I couldn't actually remember which of the monsters who refused to go to their sentencing it was that all of the, a large number of highly political lawyers immediately went on television and radio saying that we didn't have the power to force them, which is not true. Shabana Mahmood embraces that lie. and then promised to give the power to force them. She hasn't done anything because she's from this Labour government who just say words and don't do anything. But actually they had the power all along, and what's happened here is Mr. Justice Murray has behaved in quite a weak way. Now, we should give him the benefit of the doubt. We should assume His Majesty's judges are quite tough. With Axel Rudiger-Barnum, we actually got Mr. Justice Goose, who's one of my favourite High Court judges. I never thought I'd have a favourite, particularly criminal High Court judge. Because
he's my second favourite.
Well, but he forced Axel into the box, and then Axel just went crazy and kicked off and screamed. So eventually he was just like, just get rid of him. I need to proceed. What it seems to have happened here with Mr. Justice Murray is that he's waited half a day to see if he can negotiate with the evil man. We've got to stop trying to negotiate with evil people. It's a fundamental weakness in our country. We still think we can compromise and negotiate with everybody, and you can't. There are a certain group of humans who are so evil that you cannot negotiate with them. There will be no negotiated outcome, so you must use state force. And at the moment, our country looks weak and pathetic because people won't grow up and admit that. Ignore Shabana Mahmood. Of course, she's done absolutely nothing. She'll do absolutely nothing about the migrant vote. Doing absolutely nothing is what these people do.
It's a speciality.
But we must encourage our judges to be more Goose, be more like Mr. Justice Goose, and have some welly and order him there. And don't listen to lefty KCs and lefty lords. I could actually name some if I wanted to be. They were performatively pathetic on television. But don't listen to them. Have the strength.
I've heard people from the legal profession, you know, some of your colleagues, barristers, say, oh, well, this really doesn't matter. It's really not important. The question is the sentence, and they get on with it, you know, and it's uncivilised to force them into the dock. I don't really care that it's uncivilised, because, you know, stabbing your pregnant girlfriend 19 times, dare I say it, is also slightly uncivilised. So I think that, you know, that these people, particularly when you have the relatives of the victims waiting to read their statements, obviously often the most emotional moment in a trial, the perpetrator of the crime should be there to hear them, should have to face it. If you like, the beginning of their punishment, this terrible moment where the victim's relatives round on them, serves them damn well right, and force them into the dock to take their sentence. That's to do with the backbone of the state. That's to do with the pride of the state, if you ask me. Am I right?
Yes, you are. And this is why we've always had the criminal law as the king's law. It really does go to the very heart of the nation. And it's not the rise of victims. Whilst I understand the idea of victim and I have sympathy towards victims, the idea of our criminal law is actually that all of us are the victim, because the king's peace must be maintained. Order and law must be maintained in our nation. We all have the right to be safe. So this vicious, monstrous man who stabbed to death an innocent woman and a baby, you know, is a criminal against us all. The victims do not stand alone. We stand with them, and we share part of their pain, because, you know, this is a wrong committed in our country, and we must show that we are muscular and powerful. I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, I'm old enough to remember the Silence of the Lambs. There was a mask in that Sir Anthony Hopkins wore. That you know, kept peace. We can use force against people. It's not uncivilized. It is civilization itself. Rome knew civilization is force.
Absolutely. And what we do when we force them into the dock, we tell them, because this is their little moment of control, isn't it? I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm not going to go into the day. You want your little theatre, the victims reading their statements. I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there when the judge says you've got life. It gives them a moment of control. And I think what we, the state, have to say to them is, listen, you're not in control. We are. The state is. And you are going to do what you're told right now, and that's what I think we should do. Shabana Mahmood, now, well, it's not Holmes, it's David Lammy's job now. I think he should do something about this.
They won't, and just ignore the government and the ministers. Just encourage the judges to be more tough. You know, if Mr. Justice Murray was sat there worrying that he'd get public criticism for forcing him into the dock, then we need to make it very clear to Mr. Justice Murray in some way that we will not criticise him if he forces this guy into the dock. We need to keep praising Mr. Justice Goose so that the rest of them want to be more like Mr. Justice Goose. We want tough judges. We want our laws to be clear, fair, you know, and applied equally amongst all of us, and you know, applied without fear or favour, but we want them applied, because that is the rule of law. And these little narcissists who refuse to do as they're told are more of a danger. They are mob ruled. They are resisting the power of the state. We want a state that is away from our lives most of the time, but when you break the law, you know, the state should come down on you like a ton of bricks. When you murder an innocent woman who's carrying a baby, I want the book thrown at you. I think all of us do. And I don't want weak judges worrying about whether or not they're going to get nice press headlines. I want them all to know and have the confidence that, like Mr. Justice Goose did, if you do it, we will just praise you. You know, that's what we will do.
Exactly right. Any judge that forces someone like Shane March into the dock to face the music won't get bad press. I can assure you of that. They will get great press. So I agree with you. Stephen, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for that. Stephen Barrett there, barrister and commentator. He'll be back with me tomorrow night at 7 p.m. By the way, I'm sorry, these poppies, they don't fit that well, and mine have fallen off. I didn't realise, so I've got it back on. Sorry that my poppy has been absent so far. I didn't realise. It's just that someone came in and said, "Oh, look, your poppy fell off." Anyway, it's back. When we come back, we're going to talk about adverts. Ricky Gervais has got a right old row going on with Sadiq Khan's Transport for London because he can't get any of his posters he planned to put up there, or have put up there, for his vodka range, Dutch Barn. He uses that to raise money for animal welfare, and he can't get any of his posters up. We'll bring you that story next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Okay, so Ricky Gervais, famous comedian, The Office and all that, has got a range of vodka called Dutch Barn. He uses the proceeds to fund animal welfare campaigns, particularly donkeys. So he's looking after donkeys with the money he makes from this vodka range. He's a good guy when it comes to animal welfare. I know this. We're both patrons of a dog charity called All Dogs Matter. Up in North London, so but he does a lot more than I do, trust me. So he does this. He uses his fame and his fortune, or not, to raise money for the very worthy cause of animal welfare. He's been trying to get posters onto the tube system, the London tube system. Transport for London keep rejecting them. I mean, he wanted one, for example, that said, you know, have a drink now. What was it? You know, have a drink now, because what one was meant for the tube station is just, as he said, it was me having a drink, and it just said, one day you'll be underground for good. That was it. That was banned. Anyway, look, he posted a video expressing his fury. Have a look.
Right. I am sick and tired of the powers that be banning my billboards and adverts for Dutch Barn. Sometimes there's just nothing wrong with them, right? One that was meant for the tube station just had me having a drink, and it just said, one day you'll be underground for good. That was it. They went, no, can't have that, because it might make people think, oh, because life's short, we should drink to excess. Who's thinking that? Oh my God. Cowardly. Do you think it's my attitude? Oh, but you can't win, because, right, you're not allowed to say alcohol's good for you, or it does this, or it makes you feel confident, or it makes you feel attractive, which is fine.
Well, he's very angry, and this is a syndrome that carries on. He's now come up with some sort of spoof ones. One is him. He's sort of mocked up a tube station with a big poster of him with his vodka saying, visit London. Don't forget your stab vests, things like that, in order to taunt Transport for London for their prudishness. Well, look, let's talk to historian and cultural commentator Rafe Hadel-Manku about all this. Thanks for joining us, Rafe.
Always a pleasure, Kevin.
Well, look, you know, he's talking. What we're talking about here is this increasing prudishness, this ultra sensitivity that seems to surround that which we may advertise, particularly on the tube. I mean, last year there was a poster for a West End play called Tony and Tina's Wedding. That was on at the Haymarket Theatre, big theatre. And there's this couple with a wedding cake in between them. That was the poster. And that was banned because wedding cakes are bad for you. They're full of sugar. And I mean, seriously. So what do you make of this ultra sensitivity that seems to surround advertising? Why can't Ricky Gervais put a poster on the tube station saying, you know, have a drink, cheers, have a drink, soon you might be underground forever. You know, that, you know, what's wrong with that? What's going on here? Why are we so sensitive about this?
Yeah, and there was another ad actually at the same time as the wedding cake one with the comedian Ed Gamble, who had a comedy tour called Hot Diggity Dog. And so, understandably, he had a hot dog in his poster. TfL made him change that to a cucumber. It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Look, I would say, look, thank heavens for people like Ricky Gervais, you know, who are willing to sort of point out and call out this, as you say, this is a stifling, oppressive bureaucracy of, you know, apparatchiks who are so steeped in wokery and not wanting to cause offence that they're stamping out, you know, the fun, the creativity, all the stuff that we once associated with the very best of British humour. And what, you know, Ricky Gervais is doing is just in keeping with ads in the past. And gosh, do you remember, Britain used to be the world's best country for producing funny commercials. In the 1970s and 80s and 90s, you had worldwide winning, world award winning commercials. You know, remember the Cinzano ads with Joan Collins and so forth? But, you know, there were so many ads that wouldn't be made today. I remember in the late 90s, you had, I think, for a peanut company, you had Noddy Holder from Slade, and the posters all said, "Nibble Nobby's nuts." I really don't think that would be made today.
There was I've got one here. There was back in 2019 a food delivery company submitted a poster, but it was banned because some of the food they delivered was bacon, butter and jam, and it had pictures of bacon, butter and jam, and this was banned because bacon, butter and jam are arguably not very good for you. So what is the deal here? If you want to have a poster with any food on at all, it's got to be what, you know, cucumbers and celery, or else nothing else. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's the nanny state. I mean, you know, what's wrong with people actually being... You know, you can watch television and you'll still get commercials for fast food companies and so forth. They're treating us as if we're children, as if we're incapable of making decisions for ourselves. You know, he has said that he thinks this TfL company were saying, oh, well, if you're encouraging the benefits of alcohol, we're all going to suddenly become alcoholic. I think one of the ads was, have a drink even if you're an alcoholic.
No, I'll tell you what. One of his, it's a sort of area of confusion which ones he actually submitted and which ones he's come up with subsequent to this dispute. But one of them was drink Dutch Balm vodka. It's your tube driver's favourite morning tipple. But you know, we're laughing at that, and we laughed about the nibble Nobby's nuts. You know, what is wrong with this? Why have we become so prudish about all of this? I mean, we've become a more boring, puritanical nation, haven't we?
It's so fundamentally anti-British. You know, British humour has always been dark, slightly perverse. You just look at things like the League of Gentlemen, you remember.
Yeah.
I remember, not even that long ago, I think it was around 15 years ago, there was a gambling company that had an ad featuring a football team called the Blind Wanderers. And it was literally a group of blind football players.
Don't put your money on this lot.
And one of them kicked a catch rather than a football. And so you had the RSPCA and all the blind people protesting over all of that. We've got to get a sense of proportion here. There's things that are funny, they're amusing. It's part of the British character to make fun of ourselves. The self-deprecating humour is also part of British comedy. It's one of the great things that people around the world have always admired about us. And it seems as if whether it's comedy or free speech or freedom or whatever it is, we seem to be doing away with everything that once made us proud to be British. All the things you would say, well, this is part of the British character, we're just gradually eroding them all.
Bring back the Carry On films, I say. What do you reckon, Rafe?
Oh, Mrs.
You know what, the Carry On humour is all based around misconstruing the word "it." You know. Well, we're just going to have it. Ooh, but all of that joke, it's the kiss me quick, you know, cheeky promenade humour that used to predominate in this country, that actually the Carry On films captured to perfection. Now we've come a million miles since then, and it probably is why on television there is no, basically there is no decent comedy, nothing to actually make you laugh.
Well, it's funny because I did a documentary on the Carry On films, actually. They're one of my great passions in life. The Carry On films.
Which is your favourite?
And Pink Panther was either Carry On Camping or Carry On Up the Khyber.
I'm a Carry On cabbie man myself, but
you're an old black and white fan.
I love Carry On. That's the original, I think. But anyway, sorry, we digress. You were saying
Carry On Sergeant was the original. But anyway,
okay. I stand corrected.
But this is it. The very essence of British comedy was always slightly saucy, slightly bawdy. You can trace a long history from the Carry-Ons to the Donald McGill postcards, but even back to Shakespearean time. There's part of British culture to have rude, naughty bawdiness, and we've lost sight of all of that. But there's another thing here, and it's the hypocrisy of Transport for London, because also, not alone with banning food items that are unhealthy, they've also banned any depiction of women in a state of undress, for example. So they've taken down ads where women have been featured in bikinis or bathing suits. But as my good friend Peter Lloyd has pointed out on social media, there are lots of ads on TfL for a very famous central London male stripping show, which show men completely topless in sort of various sexual poses. That seems perfectly fine. And so there's this complete hypocrisy here between they decide, well, this is what the woke culture will accept, this is what they won't. And there's no rhyme or reason behind anything.
The favourite thing anybody has said to me for the past week was you, when we were talking about discussing drag queens, and you said that it's kind of sexist. Why aren't there drag kings? I want to know. I think we should do something about that and find ourselves some drag kings. By the way, Rafe, really good to talk to you. See you very soon. That's Rafe Heidelman-Koo. What's going on here? Seriously, this guy, Ricky Gervais, good guy, trying to raise money for animals, particularly donkeys, donkey sanctuaries. Donkeys have such a hard life around the world by selling this vodka, and he can't get any of his posters up on TfL, because they're a bit near the knuckle. They encourage drinking. Of course they do. It's ridiculous. Let me know what you think. 03444 991,000. Don't forget, after the 9 o'clock news, Kinsey Schofield will join me. Lots of royal issues to discuss. But we should have time for a few calls between now and the 9 o'clock news. So 03444 991,000. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. That next.
Yeah, so there's not necessarily an ongoing threat, so it doesn't need sort of an absolute urgent response from the government. But we know that the issue of crime on British streets and the issue of knife crime in particular is one that has not been far from the headlines in recent weeks, and we can expect almost certainly as we go through the days now into this week and we get further updates on the conditions of those people hopefully leaving hospital in an okay state, that the pressure, the political pressure on the Home Secretary and on the government to do more to tackle violent crime and particularly knife crime across the country will ramp up.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Welcome back. As I say, Kinsey Schofield will join us in about 5 minutes after the news. But first, I think we've got time to squeeze a couple of calls in. And the first one is from one of my favourite callers, Tarquin in London. Hi, Tark.
The only darling, the only reason is because you are the greatest broadcaster on this station, bar none. And
as I always say to you, I mean, who could argue with that, you know?
Well, at the end of the show, when they always say you said, and I have been a mediocre, I think, Kevin, you're so self-effacing. You are brilliant, sir. You're brilliant.
Yeah. I know, Tarquin. Let's talk seriously. You want to talk about the BBC, yeah?
Right. On a serious note, and the reason I phoned in double quick earlier is when you were, your marvellous monologue on the BBC and this disgusting editing of the J6 Trump thing. Kevin, I was thinking this is a sort of a form of like false reporting. It's borderline.
Well, it's not a form of. That's exactly what it is. It's doctoring. It's editing. It's doctoring the truth.
If one was a corporation and one did what they call false reporting and accounts, that is a crime, is it not? It's a criminal offence to present fraudulent and to permanently, with the intention of permanently depriving us of the truth. Surely that means it's a form of fraud and theft of the truth.
Well, the point is it's a journalistic crime. That's the point, and that could cost the BBC a lot of money. Donald Trump is not one to let these incidents go, and he's likely to sue the BBC. He sued CBS for their 60 Minutes programme, in which he said Kamala Harris, that they edited and doctored a Kamala Harris interview that stacked the cards against him in the presidential race, in the presidential election, and he ended up getting $16 million from the parent company, Paramount, that runs at CBS. So he'll come for the BBC on this. This is not right. This is just wrong.
Can I just one last thing? I'm sure you know this very well. To advise your wonderfully learned listeners and viewers that with the TV license, this is a law, so this is not being misled, but do double check this because I'm pretty sure this is the way one does not need to have a TV license if, and this is the caveat, if you do not watch any live broadcasting of any, that's not just the BBC, that could be ITV, any of them, and also don't have downloaded or subscribed to anything apart from S4C on iPlayer. The best thing to do is to avoid that completely. Then you do not have to pay 179 quid, and you don't have left the goons that arrive at your door. You don't have the entertainment. You don't have to engage with them. There's no way they can get it.
Listen, Tarquin, I'm not running a kind of advice service for people who want to avoid paying their TV license, but a lot of people are doing that. You're exactly right, and the number of people paying for their license is plummeting. The BBC is losing a lot of money.
They're all being defrauded, Ken.
Because I don't think that they feel they're getting a good service, and I think they're being let down by the journalism. Tark, got to go, mate, but very good to talk to you as always. Tarquin in London. Paul in Hartlepool, we'll talk to you later. Sorry, he was waiting. We'll get him after Kinsey Schofield. So, yes, after the news, Kinsey will join me, and we will talk about the latest developments on Planet Meghan, Planet Harry, and, of course, the Prince, the Andrew, formerly known as Prince. Much to talk about. The Queen losing her temper, apparently. You won't want to miss that. That next. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, we've talked a couple of times in the early morning here because she was here in Britain, in London last week, and I was doing the breakfast show. She kindly came on to speak to me there a couple of times because the breaking news on the royal front was coming thick and fast last week, as you can imagine. Lots still to discuss. So a warm welcome. She's back on the West Coast, coming at us through the magic of technology. She is the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. She is Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kinsey.
Hi, Kev. And you know what? My poppy is like 10 feet away from me. I feel like I have disappointed you. I'm so sorry. I forgot to grab my poppy.
No problem. Mine fell off earlier, so they can be a problem. But thank you. That is taken that you would show the respect that we would expect of you, Kinsey. Let's talk about the Royals. Well, first off, Robert Jobson's got another one of his blockbuster books out, old friend of mine, now churning out bestsellers like there's no tomorrow. His latest one's called The Windsor Legacy. There's a copy of the cover if you're watching the show. In this book, I mean, there's all sorts of amazing stories, but my favourite story that I'd like to discuss with you is that the Queen, Harry and Meghan always made it clear that when they decided to call their new baby daughter Lilibet, you know, that they'd contacted the Buckingham Palace, they'd discussed this, and it was all, cleared and given the green light by the Queen and everything. Well, according to Robert Jobson's book, the truth is she knew nothing about it and actually found out about it when she was reading her morning newspapers. And she found out that the kid was called Lilibet, the little girl was called Lilibet, and was furious because that was her childhood nickname. And I remember reading before that she was very upset about it because she actually said to friends, look, you know, they think I'm the Queen, you know, and I own all these palaces and all this art and I'm fat. But in fact, you know, I haven't got very much because most of it is tied up with state ownership. She says, so I don't have much. I don't own these palaces. I don't own all these valuable works of art. I don't have very much. She said, all I've got is my memories. She said, all I've got is, you know, my childhood nickname. And now they've taken that. They've taken that. And apparently, according to Robert Jobson's book, when she read this in the paper, now a mild-mannered woman, by the way, she stood up in a fury and chucked her newspaper down on the ground in a fit of temper. She was so angry. But what this really does is cast doubt on the Sussexes' claim that they'd cleared this name with the palace, with Her Majesty the Queen. That is a story that I think we have to question now, don't we?
Well, I started to question it when they threatened to sue the BBC, who immediately, although I know the BBC's not having the best day, but I will say that
they got this one right, didn't they? Yeah.
Right. I will say that the BBC reported at the time that they had not received the Queen's permission to name their daughter Lilibet. And this conversation had not happened prior to the announcement and birth of this child being born. Harry and Meghan swoop in, immediately threatening legal action to the BBC. And the BBC responds by saying, we're not going to change our story. We're so confident in our version of events that bring on a lawsuit. Go ahead. And you know what? Harry and Meghan never spoke about it again. This entire saga just quietly fades into the distance, along with every bridge Meghan Markle's ever burned, with Trevor Ingleson and all. Meghan just tries to pretend like it never happened. This, challenging the BBC.
That's an extraordinary story. That's an extraordinary story, Kinsey. You're quite right that the BBC, to its credit, said, look, we are totally happy with this story, that the Queen did not know that Harry and Meghan were going to name their daughter after her childhood nickname, Lilibet. She didn't know. She was actually furious when she found out. But when the BBC reported that, Harry and Meghan fired off one of their famous traditional legal letters saying, you better put that right. I mean, what on earth do they think they're doing? You know, if that clearly was not the case, you can't start, well, you shouldn't start threatening to sue journalistic organisations for stories you know to be true. They shouldn't have done that, should they?
They should not have done it, but classic Harry and Meghan, you know, it's their truth that matters, not the truth that matters. And I believe it's in Robert Hardman's book about the king, where he suggests that Harry likely said something to the Queen along the lines of, we'd like to name our daughter after you, period. Not, we're going to take this sacred nickname that, you know, only the closest of the close was allowed to call you throughout your lifetime. And I also think that we have learned a lot over the last few months about the truth behind Harry and Meghan's relationship with Queen Elizabeth, thanks to Sally Bedell-Smith and Lady Elizabeth Anson and some of the other stories we've heard.
I think Robert's new book as well, I think, has cast
and that's
a lot of light
say.
on it.
Robert's new book goes, Harry sat down with Hoda Kotb and said, and shocked courtiers when he said that he had a great relationship with his grandmother, but was just concerned about wanting to keep the right people around her. I mean, the courtiers at the time were like, excuse me. I mean, I think it was probably interpreted that King Charles and Prince William might not have the best influence on the Queen at the time. But the reality is, I think Harry was talking about everybody. He was just trying to make the public think that he had the Queen's best interest at heart, and he was closer to the Queen than he truly was. And we learn in this book, thanks to Robert Jobson, that the Queen was so disappointed when Harry and Meghan came out to the UK and brought Lilibet, because she was expecting to have tea with them and they don't show up. And she's had a cake made specifically for Lily's birthday. And what I haven't seen in Jabo's lead up, I don't know if he tells this part of the story, but what I know to be true, I guess I should say allegedly, is that Meghan and Harry had brought a professional photographer. And what we actually learned later from Vogue, and what we learned later on thanks to the Netflix series, is they had Netflix cameras and microphones attached to them throughout this trip as well. But it's my understanding that they had requested to meet the Queen with this professional photographer because they wanted their children's pictures to be taken with the Queen with this Vogue photographer. And the Queen's team said absolutely not. And remember, it's Hugo Vickers who says the Queen always wanted to have somebody in the room with her to protect her if Harry and Meghan were on the way.
It's extraordinary.
And so I'm wondering if they were so irate over the Queen's refusal to have Vogue professional photos taken of her with the children, that they stood her up for tea and left her sitting there with that cake for Lilibet. And if so, just how disgusting are these two? I mean, it's like every day they surprise me at how low they are willing to go.
Yeah.
But
what Harry tries to do, isn't it? Harry has tried to depict this incredible special relationship that he had with the late Queen Elizabeth, the late great Queen, that somehow she was his favourite and they were really close. I don't think that was the case, and I think this naming of their daughter Lilibet was an attempt to sort of underline the special relationship. Oh, how touched Her Majesty was that they chose to use her childhood nickname for their own child. She wasn't touched. She was furious. She was really, really angry. I mean, I think that you can imagine that, can't you? This is a woman whose her entire life is devoted to her role as the monarch of this country. Most of her possessions aren't really her possessions. The only thing that are really, really hers are her memories. her personal life. And her memory, her personal, of her happy childhood was that she was called Lilibet, and they just nicked it, that name, and they didn't ask her. She wasn't touched by that. It didn't signify a special relationship between her and Harry. Whatever relationship there was between her and Harry, I think got significantly worse the moment she found out they'd stolen her name.
Well, there's a couple of points I'd like to make. I mean, naming your child Lilibet, that was Harry and Meghan's way of trying to cement their proximity to the British royal family, whether they lose their titles or not. That their child is named after Queen Elizabeth. This is the same as Meghan being Meghan Sussex now. You know, this is just them saying, look, we're related to the royal family. No, whether I'm
Meghan Sussex now.
Yeah, and then also I was thinking about, while you were talking about that, thinking about the fact that Queen Elizabeth is staring at a Warhol that is her face. And she doesn't even own that painting. It's her face. And, you know, that belongs to the Crown Estate. Like, that belongs to somebody else. But she's looking at a picture of herself. It doesn't even belong to her. You're right. This was the only thing that belonged to her. And, you know, when it comes to Harry and Meghan, they're going to continue to try. I think what frustrated the Queen was not just the theft of her name, but the fact that their actions contradicted whatever they're trying to say, that this was like some thoughtful gesture that they named their child after her. You have to imagine that she's recognizing at the same time that they're doing this, Harry's giving interviews talking about how the future king, Prince Charles, and Prince William are basically prisoners to this institution. That's what he tells Oprah Winfrey, that they're stuck. He's trying to take down the institution at the same time that he's naming his child after the Queen. Prince Philip just died. And a month before Philip died, they're sitting on a couch with Oprah Winfrey. The Queen is frustrated because she sees that their actions completely contradict what not only are they saying to Hoda Kotb and everyone else, but the idea that they've done this to be sweet. No, you've taken something from me, and you've done it with an ulterior motive. Yeah, to cash in. Yeah.
It augments their royal connection, therefore they can make money out of it. Robert's book, Robert Jobson's book, The Windsor Legacy, also contains, forensic detail about what was happening in the run-up to Harry and Meghan Mexiting, heading off to Canada and then America, and the rest is history. As they were planning that, Harry, who came up with this compromise, what we're going to do is we're going to go and live in the California sunshine, but I'll come back a couple of times a month, I'll do a few royal engagements, No
thanks.
Still be, and he had no doubt in his mind that the Queen would say, oh, that sounds like a very good compromise, a very good solution, yes. But of course, Her Majesty, very nice lady, but when she made up her mind, she was the monarch, and she was having none of that. And apparently Harry was absolutely stunned when she said, no, absolutely not. You are either in or you are out. You go to America, it's all over in terms of the royal family. You are no longer a working royal. Harry could barely believe that he'd been knocked back like that.
Yeah, but keep in mind, they knew things we didn't at the time. Prince William is likely sitting in that Sandringham summit saying to the Queen and Prince Charles, I have a list of bully allegations. I've lost a significant amount of my staff since she's come on board. She treats people horribly. You really want to unleash her on the world with this royal connection? She's going to be representing us and scolding people on the escalator of a Neiman Marcus. Like, I'm sure that Prince William was in his right mind saying, she can't be out in the world representing our family. But also keep in mind that they had gone so deep in their scheming while they were in Canada over the holiday break. They built a website, sussexroyal.com, where they outlined what the plans were going to be without confirming with the royal family whether or not these plans were even possible. They were only going to work with grassroots, young media companies, young media personalities. They weren't going to work with any legacy media or the Royal Rota anymore. LOL.
Yeah.
People Magazine says hello. Us Weekly says they missed a call from you. Be sure to call them back as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You know, in several of these other basically promises that they've failed to execute over the last 5 years. And so why would the royal family say, yes, you have permission to do all of this, when they've seen that Harry and Meghan had absolutely no respect for the monarchy or protocol in general?
But you're right, Kinsey. That's the way they operate, isn't it? They formulate plans in their mind, plans that they probably know might be controversial, might not be accepted, but they announce them as if it's going to happen. And then they get stunned when it doesn't happen. Well, listen, I'm going to play a little bit of a video of Meghan here. This is Meghan celebrating the LA Dodgers World Series win, apparently, alongside an impressed Prince Harry, an unimpressed Prince Harry. But people are saying this is kind of weird. Have a look. So that's the LA. They went to the LA Dodgers, didn't they, last week? And they were all filmed, and they got booed because they took the front seat ahead of Magic Johnson, the part owner, who's a LA Lakers basketball legend, a Los Angeles legend. So people saying, why are they in the front row? Why isn't Magic there? But they were in the front row, $1,000 seats. They posted a load of video, and the LA Dodgers lost against the Toronto Blue Jays, so people booing them for being in the front row, and then booing them because they thought they were bad luck charms, that they'd brought defeat to the LA Dodgers. But anyway, that video, weird as hell, is Meghan celebrating the LA Dodgers winning in the World Series. A bit strange, isn't it?
I mean, why does she feel? I mean, just tell us you want to be Kim Kardashian without telling us you want to be Kim Kardashian, okay? Like, Harry didn't sign up for this. Harry does not like to be on camera. You can tell in that moment. There have been some people that have said, like, well, he's a Blue Jays fan. Well, then that coward shouldn't have been wearing an LA Dodgers hat a week ago, okay? You know, he didn't sign up to be monitored 24/7 and then uploaded by his wife. And I think that this is literally his hell. Also, Meghan Markle's never claimed to be a baseball fan. I mean, she was a hockey fan when we found out she was chasing after some of those guys while married to Trevor Ingleson, allegedly. Yeah. But, you know, I just hate people that jump on bandwagons. Like, all of a sudden they care about the Super Bowl because it's in their city, or they care about the Super Bowl because the local team goes, and you're like, girl, you couldn't even tell me what a quarterback is. And I feel like this is just Meghan Markle trying to jump on board of again, another trend. Tina Brown said, when it comes to charities, Meghan Markle only cares about it if it's trendy. And I think that's just Meghan Markle in general. She is so basic.
Yeah, but so that video there of her shrieking away, so it's in black and white. What strikes me about that, if that was me, you know, I mean, not that I would be Meghan, but if I looked to myself, I go, you know, I would go, well, I'm not putting that out. You know,
this is the same. This is the same.
Why would she post something like that?
Because this is the same woman willing to twerk to a song about I'm a baby mama and I'll do what I wanna. Don't forget 2025, the year we saw Meghan Markle drop it low, and I mean it probably gave us a little idea of how she lured Prince Harry in some of those positions that we caught her in during the baby mama video dance, but. I just think she is shameless. She has no class, and she continues to prove that. She is desperate for attention. No attention is the worst attention. She'll even take the negative attention. And she has realized that she's made herself look like an absolute idiot in 2025. Podcast host versus reality TV host versus jam salesperson. What else has she executed this year? What else, you know, versus motivational speaker at the Fortune Most Powerful Women Summit. I mean, what is she? I'm having a hard time defining her after 2025 because she just looks schizophrenic.
Yeah, she does. She's just a sort of whirling dervish, lashing out in all directions and no central direction at all. God knows what she's up to, but that, underpinning it always is her new desire to be on Instagram about every 20 minutes, allegedly in order to sell stuff on As Ever, her weird online store that's now selling candles for $64 and wine, a new brute vintage wine from Napa Valley at $89 a bottle. So good luck selling that stuff. But what we do learn, you and I talked about this before, is she's launched this thing called Operation Thaw, T-H-A-W, in order to try to thaw the icy relationship between the Sussexes and William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales. Of course, we know about this ongoing brotherly feud. William and Catherine in no mood ever to forgive that couple for all the things they've done since they've been in America. Anyway, what we learn is that Meghan, though, is trying to bury the hatchet, trying to be friends with them again. Guess why? Because she's spotted that the royal family are in the mood for removing titles from princes who are a waste of space. I'm going to cut Harry some slack here. He's not quite Britain's worst prince. He's not quite the royal family's worst prince.
Give him time.
He's the second worst prince. The way he's behaved, it's now pretty accepted that William is in such a mood that when he ascends to the throne, let's hope, by the way, nothing against William, but let's hope that's not anytime soon, but when he does become king, that he will take away the Sussexes' titles. He may even do that before. So Meghan, really worried that she may stop being able to call herself the Duchess of Sussex, and Harry, he'll have to go back to Harry Mountbatten Windsor or whatever damn second name he chooses as well.
Harry Spencer. Harry Spencer.
Harry Spencer, yes, indeed. Harry Hewitt. Oh, hush my mouth. Seriously, though, you know,
well,
this is what's going on. The Meghan and Harry.
But what a terrible idea to, you know, launch Project Thaw and put it out there, because the only reason we know about this, Kevin, is because their team had to leak it. Somebody on their side had to tell us what was going on, that Meghan had every intention of trying to reconnect with the Princess of Wales, Catherine. You know, and you know what is hitting the fan in the UK. Last week, we were together as everything was hitting the fan.
Damn right.
And there's Harry and Meghan front row at a Dodgers game. There's Meghan Markle uploading videos of her cheering on the Dodgers and doing cartwheels in a living room. You know as well as I do that if they were trying to impress the royal family, or if they were trying to worm their way in truly to the royal family, they would be laying low while all this Prince Andrew chaos is exploding, because it doesn't reflect well that they are out playing while the royal family is navigating a very serious historical issue. There's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," shoving a footlong down their throats. It just doesn't, you know, you just can't compare the two. It's like if the royals are facing such a hard time, go away, disappear.
Let me just explain to the British audience that a foot long shoving it down, that's a great big long hot dog called a Dodger dog, isn't it? Yeah, they're very long. Now listen, one last point, Kinsey. The Prince of Wales, or William, is in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro.
Another point. This is along with Project Thaw. Yes, continue. This contradicts Project
so
Thaw.
he's in Rio de Janeiro doing a big Earthshot function, you know, continuing his very important ecological work, his climate change work. I'm going to reserve my usual judgment on that. We'll allow him, it's his passion, so he's down there doing that. So good luck to him. And what does Harry do? He takes the opportunity to try and overshadow his brother by announcing he's off on his own trip to Toronto. What's he going to be doing in Toronto?
This is for Remembrance Day, and it reeks of 2020 when Harry finds out that his family is going to no longer leave a wreath in his honor. They've said, no, you're no longer here and you're no longer a working member of the royal family, so we will not place a wreath for you on Remembrance Day. So Harry and Meghan, along with the photographer, go to a military cemetery here in the States, and they have the photographer take pictures of Harry just walking around the cemetery holding hands with Meghan Markle. I mean, the way he tries to insert himself, instead of letting go and finding a new path. So when I read this story, I think I sent it to you because this contradicts the Project Thaw story that these two are doing everything in their capacity to get back in the good graces of William and Catherine. William lands in Rio for Earthshot, and I told you last week I felt like one of the reasons why they came down so hard on Prince Andrew when they did in like this emergency, this blitz, was because I felt like the royal family is like, we need to focus our attention back to the good we're trying to do, and that would be the Earthshot Prize this week. And for Harry to announce it today, could he not wait 24 hours to announce that he was on his way to Canada? Especially when we heard a few weeks ago that he was being so generous in sharing his calendar with the royal family to try to, so that there could be some sort of synchronicity when it came to dueling events. Obviously, this is all bogus. This is all positive spin coming from his team, and actions speak louder than words, Harry.
They sure do. Kinsey, it's great to be back doing our Monday nights again, and we'll do it again on Thursday. Love talking to you as always. Loved seeing you last week as well, of course. Kinsey Schofield there, the great royal guru, our royal guru, who knows more about the British royal family than anybody in Britain. She's more British than the rest of us. Should have seen her last week. Spent the whole week wearing Union Jack outfits. She loves this country. Good for her. And I love her country, and I love my own country as well. So, on that bombshell, let's go to a break. When we come back, your calls, your messages, and I would imagine we've got some WhatsApp voice notes as well. So we'll start going through all of those for the rest of the show. Don't forget, at 10 p.m. we go across the Atlantic again to Washington for Harry Cole Saves the West, and that will go on for an hour. And then at 11 p.m. Petrie Hoskins takes over the helm of the Good Ship Talk and takes you through to the small hours all the way till 1 a.m. So it's all going on right here on Talk. Stay exactly where you are.
I think that we can argue the British state is complicit in a crime like this because they haven't done enough to protect our borders. They haven't done enough to deport illegal immigrants, both those arriving and those living here. They haven't done enough to deport foreign criminals in our country. And it's quite clear to me that a lot of the people who are coming in here don't share our culture. They don't respect our culture. They're a danger to the honest, decent, tax-paying, law-abiding citizen of this country.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Lots of messages about the justice system, you know, this business of defendants actually facing their sentences and no longer. The idea is we don't let them make their own choice. We don't let them control that moment and say, I don't want to face my sentencing. I'm not going to go into the dock. If they say that, we make them. We make them. But Shabala Mahmood, when she was Justice Secretary, said, yeah, I am going to change the law. But we were doing covering the case of Shane March, who stabbed his pregnant girlfriend 19 times. She was 32 years old, carrying his baby. Stabbed her to death. He refused to go into the dock. And the judge basically, he did try and get rid of it. He said, oh, forget it, you know. Well, no, I think the judges have got to make a point of this. This is where the state tells these scumbags, these lowlifes who've committed murder or other serious offences, no, you do not control this moment. We do. You're going to do what you're told. Anyway, Darren has sent me a message saying, love the show as always. Thank you, Darren. Easy fix for these scumbags who do not face their sentencing. Have it fixed in law that a no-show will triple their sentence time. Job done. Well, that might be a little difficult if they got life or 42 years or whatever. But certainly, I agree with that. We need to somehow, if they're getting, life with a minimum of 42 years, turn it into life with a minimum of 50 years or something like that. You know, if they're getting 20 years, give them 25 years. I totally agree with that. Tell them if you don't go into the dock, you're going to get an even worse sentence. That'll change their minds, I'll guarantee you. Let's have a listen to a WhatsApp voice note, shall we? This is Tristan on the BBC bias issue after they stand accused of Panorama doctoring Donald Trump to make it look as if he called for violent insurrection on the day, January the 6th, remember that, the storming of Capitol Hill. Have a listen to Tristan.
Seems like a left-wing cabal at the moment, trying everything they possibly can to falsify certain facts. You've got obviously what you've documented about what the BBC have done about the Trump speech, which is just disgraceful. You've also got the Orion Association, which is now indoctrinating children saying that Reform are fascist, which is quite unbelievable. I hope they will take that to court over libel or something like that, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. So much more to say, Gavin, but it's just crazy.
Well, Tristan, give me a ring tomorrow night, maybe, if you like. 03444991000. We'll have a chat about it, but you make very good points. There's another story knocking around, as he said, that this schools company in charge of a few schools in London called Orion, Reform believe they've been indoctrinating their kids into calling or believing that Reform is an extremist far-right party. almost linking them to the Nazis. So something needs to be done about that. Richard Tice, the Deputy Leader of Reform UK, has written demanding that something is done about this. I think you got a point. The brainwashing of our kids at school is a really worrying issue. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Paul in Hartlepool. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Kevin. I've always felt that the BBC have always been biased, and I'm talking about when the Euro, the
Brexit thing. Is that what you're talking?
Yeah, when we come out,
Brexit. Yeah. They were very biased then, and they admitted it. They admitted that they were pro-Remain. They later said our coverage of Brexit was biased. We were far too pro-Remain and anti-Brexit.
Yeah, and then it moved on to let's shut everything at Boris.
Yeah.
So they hammered Boris for 2 years about a piece of cake he had in Downing Street. You know, and then it just keeps moving on until we got the Labour Party now, and basically, it's for me it's just an organisation that we're all paying for, where it should be. Well,
it's ridiculous, Paul. What we've come to in terms of the BBC, in terms of our state broadcaster that we're supposed to pay for. Their coverage of the Gaza conflict has been a disgrace, absolutely pro-Palestine, anti-Israel, quite patently. And now we've got evidence that they've doctored an interview or a speech made by Donald Trump to make it look as if he was actually calling for all those nutters to storm Capitol Hill. He didn't do that. He actually called on them not to do that. But they've changed it so it looks as if he actually was demanding that people stormed Capitol Hill. That's a disgrace. And it's Panorama. It's staining the reputation of that once fine programme. Unbelievable.
Well, in Gaza, how many people did you see walking along the streets, skinny as a rake and begging in the streets, when they're actually walking, being told to move from one area to another,
Yeah.
I mean, if there was anybody starving, there would have been a million phones, showing them, these people here, they're all, skin and bone, look at them.
Yeah, well, just to tell you, Paul, literally this has just emerged. Donald Trump Jr. has made a statement. It's not very erudite, but I think it sums up what the Trump family may be thinking. He said, the fake news reporters, he's put reporters in quotes, the fake news reporters in the UK are just as dishonest and full of you know what I mean, as the ones here in America. So that's interesting because Donald Trump sued 60 Minutes, which, if you like, is America's equivalent of Panorama, because he said they edited an interview with Kamala Harris to make it look bad for him, and he got $16 million off of CBS via their parent company, Paramount. So I suspect the BBC might be hearing from Mr. Trump's lawyers. Interesting times. Paul, great call. Thank you for ringing. Let's go to another call, shall we? Or let's play another WhatsApp voice note. This is Michelle, again on BBC Bias.
The saddest thing is, where has the professionalism gone out of the BBC? Once upon a time, the BBC and other British institutions and anything made in Britain with the British kite mark was known for its reliability, authority and trustworthiness. That's now all gone.
You're right, it's that is a question of professional journalism. Professional journalists don't act in this way. They don't edit and doctor interviews or speeches to make it look as if someone said something they didn't. That's what Panorama stands accused of. The BBC, I think, is in a world of trouble on this one. This is important, and this will give them a lot of headache, I think. And Tim Davie, the Director General, yet again in the frame. How many more scandals are we going to allow this calamitous Director General to preside over? Don't forget, recently we've had, of course, the Bob Villan Glastonbury debacle, and so on and so forth. So you know, he barely he said, oh, my trouble with my job, I spend all my time firefighting. Yeah, he does. We need someone who perhaps doesn't preside over so many blazes, so many fires. Maybe it is time for Tim Davie, the current Director General, to fall on his sword. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Kevin in Leicester. Hi, Kev, what would you like to say?
Hiya, nice to see you, or hear you again. Back in the usual spot.
Back in where I belong, in the dead of night. Yeah, go on, Kev. What would you like to say, mate?
Yeah, just a great report that you and Isabel have done. I know it's not the first one you've done like that. I put this down to, you know, the term spoiled child.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you might see where I'm going with it, but in a sinister way. You've got spoiled children, and you give them too much.
They behave like spoilt children. Well, I think, again, as Isabel stressed, let's not point the finger at all of them. It's not fair to say all asylum seekers in these hotels are, you know, kind of entitled grifters trying to con the system. We've got to be reasonable. Some of them, decent people. But what our friend Adam was telling Isabel, some of the stories, some of them, it's outrageous, so entitled, staging hunger strikes because they don't like the food that we pay for and give them free.
Exactly.
You know, that they don't have to pay for themselves. Oh, really sorry. Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't like the food, why don't you go out and spend some of that 50 quid a week benefits we give you on some food? You know, go to Pizza Express or McDonald's or something like that, eh?
Absolutely.
Buy your own food. Just a thought, Kev.
Spot on. You took the words right out of my mouth, mate.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, most adults, most grown-ups have to pay for their own food. Why are asylum seekers excused from having to do that? We treat them like children. You know, paying for everything. Oh, here's a free hotel, free accommodation, free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers, free driving lessons, free trampoline lessons. Oh, here's a free trip to the zoo, free trip to the local football ground, the cricket, and so on and so forth. They don't pay for anything. So we treat them like children, and some of them behave like children, evidently. Know what I'm saying?
Yes, but in an adult way, with horrible consequences. Just final point to add to it, and they see often females working there, and they look down on them because they think, but they want less money than me, I get everything for free, I'm above them. And I'll leave the imagination for the rest of it, you know, but you can see where that leads to.
Yeah, it's likely to make taxpayers around Britain very angry. The idea we're for some reason funding all of these people, 32,000 of them in asylum seeker hotels, each one of them costing us £143 a night, every night. We're giving them free food, free accommodation, and I think it's going to really annoy people that when they hear that some of these migrants stage these protests, you know, sitting in the foyer because they don't like the free food we give them. Well, go and buy your own bloody food then. Unbelievable, Kevin. Good call, mate. Thank you very much for ringing. Keep in touch. Ring me again. Kevin in Leicester there. Let's go to break. We'll take some more calls and more WhatsApp voice notes, and I'll read some messages out when we come back.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Breaking news over in New York, the extreme lefty Zohan Mamdani is going to win. I mean, he's absolutely storming it, so he's way ahead. Polling reveals he basically can't lose. So poor old New York is about to get the most left-wing man in all of America as its mayor. Isn't that special? You know, we think we've got problems here in London with Sadiq Khan. You wait till that guy gets the reins of Manhattan. Oh, dear. Right, I should make an announcement about our app, our new app. From Monday, the 1st of December, our talkTV app is on the move. All of your favourite shows and podcasts will continue over on the Talk app. So if you're watching or listening on the talkTV app right now, you'll need to download the Talk app from the App Store or Google Play. Do it now. There's now only one place to listen and watch Talk on your phone. Everything is moving to the Talk app. So if you're using the Talk TV app now, is the time to download the Talk app. I think I'm reading all the announcements here, but it's getting it through to you, isn't it? Don't forget, everybody, they've got 3 selections. I thought we were supposed to read the whole thing. So I'm reading you 3 different versions of the same thing to remind you, to make it clear. The bosses are going to be so pleased with me, to make it clear that you must get the new app. Here's the 3rd one. From, don't forget, from Monday the 1st of December, which happens to be my birthday. I'm 107 on that day. Don't forget, from Monday the 1st of December, our talkTV app will be closed. So make sure you download the talkTV app now from wherever you get your apps from. There you go. 3 different ways of saying the same thing. The current app is closing down. You've got to get the new one. So there you go. Couldn't say it clearer than that, could I? Right, let's go back. Let's go back to the phone, shall we? Let's talk to Jenix. Is that right, in Leicester? Jenix?
Jenix, I'm in central London.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yes,
I got your name right, but not your place.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, you want to talk about prisons, Jenix?
Well, I rang about prisons, but my main issue is, to be honest, is the way societies are being split with, and I think my job is actually, I work for a well-known high street retail fashion company.
Yeah.
And my job is to look at trends on social media.
So what are you actually trying to say, Jenix? What's the headline here?
Yeah, the bottom line is, I think there's a big derisive push by social media and mainstream media to get people scared and divided on very many subjects.
Right.
I think and I've been watching an increasing amount of mysterious accounts on X.
Oh, yeah, you get a lot of that. You mean bot accounts. Yeah, loads of it, yeah.
These are strange because they're pushing racism, Islamophobia and fascism constantly against...
Yeah, but there are these accounts, these strange bot accounts and everything, are pushing angles from all over the place. You're talking about one angle, but there are other bots promoting other causes, other points of view. So it's not just... no,
it isn't just, but it's the increase in the amount of that's actually happening and the actual severity of what they're accusing. I think it's driving fear into people to speak up against certain societies, certain things that are going down.
Maybe you could be right, but as I say, I think generally speaking, Jenix, we have to worry about the use of bots generally. You know, it is.
But it's not just the bots. It's in mainstream media.
But it's in. Mainstream media? What do you mean by mainstream media?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the way the BBC react, if you steer away from the woke message...
Yeah, that's right. They don't like that. You're right about that.
They don't like that at all. They've all got an agenda that I think is driven through the Labour government because No, it's true.
No, I'm not laughing about that. I mean, I'm laughing, but only in a knowing kind of a way.
If you think the Labour Party are that bad, what is the only course of action is to try and get media to tell everybody they're that good.
Well, you're exactly right. Well, Jenix, a very interesting point. Thank you very much for ringing in with it. That's Jenix in London, not Leicester as it says here. Let's play a quick WhatsApp voice note. This is Sandra on Britain's justice system.
I have debates with friends about, in America, for example, where they're given 100, 150 years, and some of my friends say, well, oh, they're not going to be alive then, what's the point? But it is very important because it's symbolic. It demonstrates the severity of the crime that they've committed. So 100% convicted criminals should be present in the dock and face the judge when they're being sentenced and face the victims' families. I think it should be mandatory.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more, Sandra. Also in America, they don't get all the, you know, when they get sentenced to life in America, they get life. If they get sentenced to 30 years, they do 30 years, and their remission will be a matter of months or, 2 years max, whereas we sentence someone to 30 years, or that guy we were talking about, Shane March, earlier, he gets life in the year 2000 for killing some poor little 17-year-old kid, stabbing him through the neck. He gets life for that. He's out in 13 years. Out and get to murder again, which is what he's done. He's just murdered his pregnant girlfriend, stabbed her 19 times. Was this the kind of guy we should have given so much remission to? Maybe when he got his first life sentence, we should have maybe made it be a life sentence. What is the point of life? You're going to jail for life. And he's a youngish guy, he gets 13 years. Well, that's not life. Why do we call it life? It's ridiculous. So, yes, very good point, Sandra. Shall we play one last WhatsApp voice note? This is about underground ads, the Transport for London on the tube stations and around stations generally. Ricky Gervais's problem with trying to get his ads for his Dutch Balm vodka up on the walls there, but he keeps falling foul of the puritanical and prudish rules presided over by the London Mayor Sadiq Khan, who runs TfL. Sally, take it away.
Hi Kev. The removal of these ads on the London Underground seem a little bit suspicious. No alcohol, no ladies in bikinis, no pork sausages, no bacon. But you can have men with no tops on. What religion is Sadiq Khan again? Just curious.
I know where you're coming from, Sally. There is a sort of fundamentalist puritanism about all of this. We can't see meat, bacon is banned, women are banned, booze is banned, it's the killjoy stuff. Nonsense, absolutely. Comedy is banned, for God's sake. Let's speak to Kevin in Norfolk. Hi, Kev.
Hi. Hi, great show.
Thank you. You've got about 30 seconds.
Okay, I've just incandescent with more rage. My partner is a legal migrant. We paid £10,000 to get her through all the paperwork. And when I see all of those illegal migrants getting all the freebies...
It's enraging, isn't it? It's infuriating. Kevin, good point. Ring me again tomorrow. We'll discuss it properly. Harry Cole Saves the West next. This has been an amazing show. You've been a great audience. I've been me. I'll be back tomorrow at 7. You better be there.
I was back in the UK for only 5 days last week, and during that time there were 3 absolute horrors. There was the unbelievable bloody stabbing of an innocent dog walker. There was a court case about another horrific crime that all came to a conclusion. That